Today, we hear about some 2020 video game delays. Super Nintendo World is coming to Japan, and we revisit the gaming graveyard to talk about a game that has been around for quite some time. I'm Jeff Porter, and this is Game Stinger. There are delays already for 2020. Final Fantasy VII and the new Avengers game is being delayed. Avengers was supposed to be out. It's pushed back 4 months now. It's coming out September 4th. And Final Fantasy VII that was supposed to be released March 3rd is pushed back a month to April 10th. I don't think that this is anything to get too worked up about. We've seen that we're gamers. We've seen delays before. We've seen delays a lot longer than this. Final Fantasy VII, I mean, it's first announced way back in 2015, the Final Fantasy VII Remake. We finally got the release date. It's only being pushed back a month. I don't think it's anything to get too worked up about. The only thing is you might have to figure out what you're going to do with that personal day you took, because now you're going to be sitting around on March 3rd trying to figure out what to do. So in the Avengers game, the developers talked about they're delaying it to deliver the ultimate gaming experience. So I don't know. That could mean a levy of things. It could mean that they maybe fell behind on something. It could mean that they are genuinely just tuning it up, doing some updates, getting it game time ready. Like I said, I don't think this is anything to get too worked up about, but it is something to keep an eye on. We've seen delays, we've seen cancellations, we've seen things that just never came out. So it's interesting, especially so early into the year. There's so many 2020 releases that people are looking forward to. These were kind of two of the big ones. Of course, Cyberpunk 2020 is another big one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But now Final Fantasy VII, April 10th, and Avengers, September 4th. So look forward to those. Keep checking back, see if any updates are going on, what's happening with all that. Now I want to go to Japan. We're going to go all the way to Japan, to Universal Studios, announcing Super Nintendo World. It is happening, finally. I think we saw this in Tron. The chief creative officer of Universal Creative said it's going to be a life-size living video game. So that sounds pretty awesome already. Or what's that movie? Pixels. There we go. According to them, it'll be between a smartphone app and a power-up band, which will be a bracelet that they give you that I assume will interact with all of their technology, as well as your smartphone app. You'll be able to go in, and they say you'll be able to kind of interact with games. Of course, all your favorite Nintendo characters will be part of that. So that's something to look forward to. They say that this is the first I've heard of it, the Super Nintendo World of Japan. They said it'll be out and ready by this year, before the 2020 Olympics that's being held in Japan. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if I missed that or if that's kind of something that went under the radar, but Super Nintendo World Japan is a thing that's going to be coming this year. So maybe there you go. March 3rd, you already got that vacation day ready. Go over to Japan. It won't be out by then, but you can get your power band bracelet ready, or just power up band. Get that all taken care of and ready to go. So Super Nintendo World 2020 Japan should be pretty awesome. Looking forward to that. Probably won't be able to go for a while, but it'll be cool to see videos, see what they do with it, and see the videos and interactions of people who do get to go this year. So going to the gaming flashback, gaming graveyard, this is something that I want to kind of start doing. Maybe try to do it every week, is just revisit an old game that maybe you have forgot about, maybe never heard about. I was just talking to a friend. We're talking about some games that we used to play back in the day together, and Minions of Mirth got brought up. MOM. Minions of Mirth was an MMO that was created by Prairie Games. It was released in 2005, so it was a year after World of Warcraft, and it was still competing with EverQuest and that and everything. It was a solid game. There was a lot of small-time MMOs around that time that tried to compete, just kind of get in on the genre, and kind of piggyback off the success of EQ and WoW. Minions of Mirth was one of them, and they kind of took an interesting approach to it because you could choose up to 3 classes for one character. So you'd have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary. Now, that may sound like overkill, but their balancing actually worked out really well. So if you could be a warrior, priest, mage if you wanted to. But the thing was, your primary class was just that, it was your primary. So you were essentially a warrior who could maybe cast a faint heal. So you're a paladin now, but then maybe you had like a level 2 fireball that you could throw in there. Their balancing was pretty damn perfect for having tertiary options. They had a single player option where you could play offline by yourself, which made you kind of defeated the purpose of the MMORPG. But the way that, with the balancing and being able to choose tertiary classes kind of made it doable. There was a lot of soloable content, so you could, if you got tired of playing online or you didn't have internet connection, you could download it some way, maybe onto a disc or something at a friend's, go home and play it. Recently, the servers, I guess, were taken offline by Prairie Games, which I understand, having a small fan base at launch, over a decade ago. But the single player, I guess, is still available for download. So if you're interested in Minions of Mirth, the graphics are reminiscent of EQ. Yeah, it's kind of got the same feel to it, the same world building. But I think the class system is kind of really what sets it apart. It's pretty in-depth crafting. The questing is pretty straightforward. I think it had a similar, find. With EQ, you could find and form the yellow cloud. It was something similar to that. I don't know, it just worked really well together. Unfortunately, it had a pretty small player base. But I was just talking to a buddy about that, and I thought it'd be interesting to bring up and talk to about you guys, and if you had played it or not. And if you haven't, you can still go download the single player version of Minions of Mirth and give it a go. So I would highly recommend it, even if you just do a couple quests and kind of get the feel for it. You might like it. You might end up playing it a little bit more. So I wanted to bring that up, and Minions of Mirth, pretty solid game. So give that a look. I think that's about it for today. Pretty quick episode for Game Stinger. So Final Fantasy VII Avengers delayed. Super Nintendo World coming to Japan, and check out Minions of Mirth. I'm Jeff Porter, and this is Game Stinger.